All right, everyone, welcome to the March 5th meeting of the Rotary Club of Beaver Creek. I'm your Zoom host of choice and President Mike Canada. I'm glad all of you could be here today. I would like to thank our greeters. I would like to thank Mike Zwick for our great speakers and programs, Jim Gundel and Alex Zaharia for our website and YouTube help, and of course, Beth Cusack for our book dedication. I'd like to welcome all of our members who joined us today, especially those who I have not seen in a while, any guests that may be joining. And if you are a guest, I'm going to pause here. If you could please just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jacki Mayer from the Therapeutic Writing Institute in Spring Valley.
Jacki, we're happy you're here. Thank
you for having me.
Absolutely. Any other guests? All right, and as always, a special welcome to our speaker, Jacki Mayer. She is going to be talking to us today about the Therapeutic Writing Institute's mission and goal, I believe. So Jacki, again, thank you so much for making time for our club. So far, we've been averaging 37 on Zoom and 13 on YouTube. And with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Sergeant at Arms, Dave Fleming.
Okay, President, so try to keep this report to 5 minutes today as requested. Some questions. Will the Senate pass the new stimulus bill today or tomorrow? Will Governor Cuomo resign? Will Nikki Haley reverse her opinion on Trump again? Will Dr. Fauci receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom? Will Prince Philip recover from heart surgery? Will Tiger Woods ever play professional golf again? Will the Dayton Flyers win the A-10 basketball tournament? Will Hunter Green ever be able to throw a decent fastball for the Reds? And the most important question of the day, will David Fleming qualify for a stimulus check? And some things around the world. It was a really bad week for the Breakfast of Champions with news that customs inspectors in Ohio intercepted a package containing 44 pounds of cornflakes frosted with cocaine instead of sugar. A narcotics detection dog named Biko sniffed out the creative smuggling effort. It was also a bad week for line jumping after two women showed up at a Florida COVID vaccination site dressed as grannies with bonnets and spectacles so they could receive their second injections. When the suspicious staff asked for ID, it turned out one woman was 34 and the other one was 44. But it was a good week for Grace after Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton formally asked Tennessee lawmakers to shelve plans to erect a statue of her on the grounds of the state capitol. Given all that's going on in the world, I don't think putting me on a pedestal is appropriate at this time, tweeted the country legend who is 75 years old. It's a good week for wearing glasses. A new study from India suggests that people who wear glasses may be up to 3 times less likely to contract coronavirus. Researchers theorize that glasses prevent their wearers from rubbing their eyes with contaminated hands. And West Virginia is among the world and national leaders in COVID-19 vaccination rates, having administered 100% of the 436 doses it has received. Major General James Hoyer, head of the state's vaccine task force, says, quote, "not bad for a bunch of hillbillies." In America, oh yeah, the Disney streaming channel is proceeding replays of The Muppet Show with an offensive content warning. This program includes negative depictions and/or mistreatment of people or cultures, reads the warning, a reference to puppets, sometimes wearing Asian, Middle Eastern, or Native American costumes. And in the tabloids, a couple of things. Oh yeah, this is interesting. A 6-foot wide residence in West London has gone on the market for $1.3 million. Home advertised as possibly the skinniest house in the city was once a hat shop. 5 floors, 2 bedrooms, 1,000 square feet. The realtor calls it the same design as a cabin of a luxury yacht. And an Alaska woman, Shannon Stevens, sat down in an outhouse toilet and was bitten by a bear. I opened the toilet seat and there's a bear just face to face. The bear may have turned the little used outhouse into a den, according to Alaska wildlife officials. And a couple of interesting signs. I got a minute and 9 seconds left. A couple of interesting signs. One, toilet out of order. Please use floor below. In a laundromat, automatic washing machines, please remove all your clothes when the light goes out. That's so you can stand there nude in the dark, I guess. London department store, bargain basement upstairs. Office. Would the person who took the stepladder yesterday please bring it back, or further steps will be taken? Another office sign, after the tea break, staff should empty the teapot and stand upside down on the draining board. That should be an interesting one. Secondhand shop, we exchange anything, bicycles, washing machines, etc. Why not bring your wife along and get a wonderful bargain? 20 seconds, we got celebrations here. On the 6th, it was Ron Folkhorst's birthday. And on the 1st, it will be Leela Marcus's birthday. Also on the 1st, oh no, out of time. Brumfield, Hadley, and Perales have celebrated anniversaries in the club. And that concludes the report. President can ask for happy bucks.
All right, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. Are there any happy bucks?
I'll give one. I was
He muted himself.
Muted and can't see you, Eric.
I know, I was eating. I give a happy buck for those who didn't come in early like I did. I finally got an appointment for my wife to get her COVID shot next Wednesday. And it's the one-stop shop, so she'll get the Janssen vaccine. Hopefully it works well.
Thanks, Eric.
I have a happy $100 buck. Don't ask for it later, but I am excited to announce that Mike Weinstein and Pete Bales have offered their services to be our program director moving forward. So huge thank you for that. I know that's a huge role. So I appreciate them taking that. And then of course, Mike. So Mike Zwick's going to be helping out continually with that, but he's passing the baton. So, and then also Randall, I don't know if you know, but I think your house is on fire. So
He's happy about it though.
Well, that'll lead into this. I'll give a happy buck. Our crews annually go out and do fire drills, or I'm sorry, training, live fire training, and we go down to the Dayton Training Center. So there's a little inside capture of some of the training that we're doing. Thermal imager right there. There you go.
Very nice. Any other happy bucks?
I'd like to give 2 happy bucks. Our son Bentley just celebrated his 8th birthday past week, and then our daughter will be celebrating her 11th birthday on March 11th. Thanks.
Oh, thanks, Jonathan. Any other happy bucks? Eric is keeping tally, and they will be on your invoices. So, Stephen, you're going to have a hefty bill. Are there any announcements for the club?
I have a quick one. Check your inbox. If you haven't paid your invoice for this quarter, it was due the last day of March. And now it was due the last day of February or January, whatever. Anyway, it's past due, so please check. I've got about a dozen people that haven't paid yet.
Eric, why do I feel like you were looking directly at me?
Because I was.
Are there any other announcements?
And Stephen, put a 1 in front of it now because you just gave $100 happy buck.
All right, so I have a couple of announcements. one, if you're a guest and we don't have your contact information, please put it in the chat so we can follow up with you on membership and add you to the weekly email. Number two, there will be an announcement next week regarding meeting in person. So stay tuned for that. And then also, since we're stuck on Zoom, and this person doesn't know that I'm going to do this, but I'm going to call on Dave Cusack to do a bit of a show and tell. I think it'll be fun to kind of get to know each other in that way. So just something small, maybe a picture, maybe a trophy, maybe something in your office. But I would like to do a little show and tell segment next week, and we'll put it right between the Sergeant at Arms report and Happy Bucks. So Dave, please bring something. It could be a hat.
You trying to say something about the glare?
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right.
All right. At this time, I'll turn the mic over to the Vice Mayor of Beaver Creek, Don Adams, who will introduce our speaker for today.
Thank you, Mike. I met today's speaker when I was asked to come out to the Therapeutic Writing Institute about a year and a half ago, I guess, to take some photos to help them with a campaign that they were undertaking to pay for the farm there in Spring Valley. I got to tell you, when I was there, I was hooked by what I saw. Their program out there, if you're familiar with the Green Bucks and Bucks program here in Beaver Creek, where they make the adaptive bikes for the disabled kids and veterans, they do similar out there with horses. And it's an amazing thing to be involved in. And I'm sure I'm not going to talk about that. Jackie can take care of that. But I'll tell you a little bit about her. Jackie grew up in New Jersey and worked with her parents in their pharmacy from the time she was 8 years old until she went through college. She came to Ohio to attend Antioch University, where she earned her bachelor's degree in psychology and management. And after college, she spent a few years in Ohio before going into business with her parents in the Poconos in Pennsylvania in a disposable healthcare goods company. She then served as a national recruiting manager for a company in the salon and spa industry, where she worked with clients like L'Oreal, Elizabeth Arden, and Bliss Spas. In 2004, Jackie was hired by Antioch to serve as a business manager for WYSO. And at the time, WYSO had a budget of about $800,000, and they were running a deficit of around $250,000. During her tenure there, she was able to turn a profit by cutting spending, increasing sales to over $500,000, expand the number of volunteers to over 400, and create successful fundraising events, which result in a budget just under $2 million. She became the Director of Business Operations and Development, and also earned her master's degree in conflict resolution through Antioch Midwest during that time. Jackie's lived in Beaver Creek for the last 3 years with her 2 furry children, and has been the executive director for TRI since February of 2019. Her first task with TRI was to raise $500,000 to buy the farm where TRI is located. They signed the deed, according to our conversation earlier this week, last year. In addition to loving sales and fundraising, Ms. Meyer loves to garden and mow grass. She lives in a condo here in Beaver Creek, so not much of a chance to mow grass here, but if you ever get a chance to visit the farm, you'll find there's a lot of opportunity to mow grass out there. And this is on a personal note, but Jackie's graciously asked me to come out again when they start operations on March 15th to do more photos and maybe volunteer at the farm. And I'll gladly go back out and help where I can. It's just really inspiring. And I recommend that if you're looking to do something, go visit the farm, see what they do out there, especially get a chance to see how they work with the kids. And one more thing I noticed on Facebook today, or they have a wish list posted on Amazon for needs of the farm. Sometime during the conversation here when Jackie's speaking, I'll post that website on the chats so you can take a look at it, and maybe if you feel inclined to do so, go ahead and volunteer to buy something. Without further ado, welcome Jacki Meyer.
Thank you very much. So Mr. President, if you would, are you going to allow me to share my screen with you guys? Because I have some videos I'd like to be able to show.
You do have permissions to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So again, I'm Jacki Meyer. The Therapeutic Writing Institute is a really interesting organization. We've been in existence since 1973 and nobody knows who we are. So this is a great opportunity for me. It really started with a couple of women, Betty Lou Townley and a friend of hers, basically starting in their backyards to moving to different farms throughout the Miami Valley, working with individuals with disabilities. At this point, our students can be as young as 5 all the way through adults. Our students have a range of disabilities. It could be physical, it can be emotional, it can be psychological, developmental delays. The largest disability that we're dealing with is students that are on the autism spectrum. Some are verbal, some are nonverbal, some have behavioral issues, focus issues. So we evaluate every student that comes to us. And they are all our students have an individualized, goal-oriented program developed just for them based on their abilities. As Dawn said, I'm originally from New Jersey. I grew up riding horses. Unfortunately, started having some back issues, so that kind of stopped me from riding. Didn't stop me from loving them. Yes, I came on board a little over 2 years ago. We closed on the farm in May of 2019 and moved in June. We have over 23 acres. We have a 21 stall barn, an indoor arena. We took over the houses, our offices. It's beautiful property. Like Don said, the best thing you can do is come visit. I'm happy to give anybody a tour. It's a remarkable place and we do remarkable things. 2020 was a rather interesting year for us. Like most people, it was probably the worst year and the best year all tied up in one. But I'll talk more about that. What I'd like to do is I'd like to show a video because what you'll see will be more impactful than anything I can tell you. So I'm going to share my screen.
The Therapeutic Writing Institute was started in 1973 by Betty Lou Townley and Lyndon Moore. And the students were brought to a variety of people's backyards and different farms along the way. In 2019, we closed on our farm in Spring Valley and moved in. And it's been wonderful. The property is a little over 23 and a half acres. We have a barn with 21 stalls. We have a house that is our administrative offices. We have an enormous indoor arena as well as an observation room that we call our clubhouse. We offer a variety of equine-assisted activities and therapies. TRI's primary focus is therapeutic riding as well as equine-assisted learning. With our new facility, we hope to expand our daytime programming to include adults as well as homeschool children. TRI's main goal is to serve those with physical, cognitive, emotional, and behavioral disabilities or challenges. TRI has over 200 volunteers. They work both in the arena directly with our students, as well as help us do everything from muck stalls to mend fences. We could not run the quality of programming without our volunteers. We could not run this facility without our volunteers. We have built a strong community of volunteers that give and get on a daily basis. They are truly amazing.
I grew up not on a farm, but in farm country, and my grandparents had horses. I love horses. So I said, what a great place to volunteer. I do basic barn chores. I clean out or muck the stalls, and we dust for cobwebs and things like that, keeping the barn clean. Fill up the water buckets, fresh water, and then there's also some tubs out in the field. We scrub those out and clean those out, fill those up, and sometimes feed them. Sometimes we assist with that with the barn manager. I like to give back, and that's a big part of why I volunteer, is a way for me to contribute back to society.
A typical day starts at 8 a.m. and we might have lessons that go from 10 a.m. until 8:30 p.m. We have exercise riders. We have volunteers doing stuff in the house as well. So it's a long day, but this is what we envisioned. When Betty Lou Townley and Lyndon Moore began the Therapeutic Writing Institute, their dream was to have this working farm. We hope to bring those with physical, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral challenges to know what it's like to be working on a farm on a daily basis. A therapeutic writing lesson includes activities, exercises, and writing skills. And all of our students have goals. We create these goals based on what that student might be working on in occupational therapy, physical therapy, or speech therapy. We might read a student's IEP and talk to their caregivers and their families. And we work on that every day and every week that they're here. The beauty of therapeutic writing is that our writers don't understand that they're actually having some form of therapy and exercise. When they're on the horse, we're using all of the muscles in their body. They're doing their fine motor skills and their gross motor skills. We're also increasing their dexterity and their core strength. So we take a rider out of a wheelchair and we put them on the horse in a neutral position. Their pelvis is being moved, their spine is being moved, and it doesn't even feel like work or exercise. They can't simulate that on a pad in a therapy room, but we can do that on a horse. One of the greatest things about therapeutic horseback riding is it's the one place that our students who might spend their day in a wheelchair can actually be free. They can be up at the level that you and I are at. They can look us in the eye, and they can go wherever they want to go. They get to shed their wheelchair, and they get to be like the rest of us. For those of our kids that might have autism, their parents tell us this is the only place that they speak. They say their horse's name. They say walk on. They say whoa. And they do that only here at Try. And it's an amazing thing to see.
So you can see it's pretty amazing work that we do. My program staff are some of the most incredible people I know. Some of which, like Kathy Corbett, our program director that you saw in that video, has been with the organization for over 20 years. She was an instructor part-time, came on as our program director a little over a year ago. As I said before, we went to see the video. 2020, worst year, best year, all in the same year. The pandemic hit us hard. The shutdown stopped us from starting our classes, which we normally start in March. We could not start until June. Thank God for our volunteers we had this incredible group of people who during the shutdown showed up every single morning to clean stalls, feed horses, do whatever was needed, even though we needed to keep our numbers really low and stay within the COVID protocols that we had established. The great thing was once June came, previously we had not had lessons during the day, but since so many people were working from home, students were remotely learning, our younger students, we had lessons during the day as well as into the evening. Typically, we have lessons Monday through Thursday and then on Saturdays so that, you know, the horses need a break, the people need a break. That's what Fridays and Sundays are for. The amazing thing is in June of last year, I revised our budget and forecasted a $60,000 deficit. By the end of December, we were $40,000 to the positive. The generosity of the community and grants that we received It was a bit of a Christmas miracle for us. So, like I said, it was the best and the worst year. We are probably in the best financial position we have ever been in. We were fortunate enough to receive PPP money last year as well as this year. So we're really fortunate in that respect. I can tell you that in the midst of a pandemic, we actually started 2 new programs, one called Barn Buddies, which is for our more independent students to learn what's involved in owning a horse and having a horse farm and all the work that's involved. It's kind of like a way to prep students for potential jobs in the future. They also learn about horse behavior and anatomy, among other things. We also started a program in collaboration with a licensed clinical social worker called Horses for Mental Health. And we did a pilot program with a group of caregivers who a huge burden got put on them last year. This year, because that program was so successful, we're going to expand it to include first responders. And we will have that. I think we're going to have it at least 4 times this year. So any of you first responders that are listening that you might be interested, let me know. I think that the one thing I can tell you, I went outside to see lessons the first day. We were finally able to have lessons. And I walked into our arena and we decided only to do 2 students at a time, especially if they needed. What you saw in the video was a horse leader and 2 side walkers if the student needs some physical stabilization. So we had to keep our numbers down to 10 or less. So I went to watch a lesson, and I watched this little girl of about 7 with the biggest smile on her face while she was on that horse. And I'll tell you something, I had to leave because I started crying. I was so happy. What I'd like to do now is I have another video that I'd like to share with you. If you'll give me just 1 sec to bring it up. And this will give you a little more insight into one of our students and their family.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm Chase Layton and Paisley Layton's mother. We've been coming here for about 2 years now. This program has affected us in a huge way. This is the only program that both of our kids have been able to attend together and do together. There aren't any other events or anything like that that they've been able to do together.
Really affected Chase in his ability to be happy and focus. He's usually scattered and kind of all over the place, and when he's on a horse, he's really focused on what he wants to do. He always likes trotting and going fast and bouncing up and down. So that's really what he looks for. So it allows him to focus. They've been able to work with him. The instructors and the volunteers have been able to work with him with communication, not verbally, but going through a picture exchange program. So when he wants to go, he grabs the picture for go. When he wants to stop, he grabs the picture for stop. So he can still communicate without actually having words.
Chase is nonverbal, and the first time he said please was on a horse. And that's when I was ecstatic about him riding horse. And when he would be upset and they'd set him on the horse, just calms right out. So that was exciting.
We saw slow changes over time. At first he wouldn't wear a helmet. He just hated wearing the helmet. And now when he gets the helmet on his head, he knows it's time to get on a horse, and he brightens up and he gets all smile and happy. And he really just likes going out there and riding and getting on the horse and running around.
His horse is Nick, and Paisley's horse is Faith.
So I think one of the favorite memories I have of Chase riding on the horse is actually riding backwards. So Chase, I think last season was the first time they put him on the horse backwards, and he didn't quite know what to do at first. He started moving. He was laughing and smiling, and he was closing his eyes. He was laughing so hard, which doesn't happen often. He doesn't normally laugh or have that much emotion outwardly. So that was really special, and to see him do that a few times since then, it's repeated over and over again to see him get that happy when he gets to be on a horse a different way than he's used to being.
We are very thankful for the donors, and if it wasn't for them, then this program probably wouldn't continue, and that would obviously be directed towards our family in a big way.
We really appreciate all the help and all the support here. I mean, this is obviously an expensive program to run, and for a small number of families that are able to come here and benefit from this, it's extremely important that we're able to continue to do this. So it's from the bottom of our hearts, we really appreciate all the help and support.
Well, if that doesn't make an impact on you, I don't know what would. They're a pretty incredible family. They're wonderful people. What you should know is probably 95% of our students receive some kind of financial assistance. We offer some scholarships, but our money is limited. We work in collaboration with some of the county boards of developmental disabilities. We found an organization called the Air Warrior Courage Foundation that pays for the children of veterans to take therapeutic riding lessons. We work with the Wounded Warrior Project to get funding as well. I am constantly looking for funding sources, some of which the families have to apply for. They won't give it to a nonprofit, but they will give it direct to the families. What we do is not inexpensive. I don't know if any of you have ever owned horses, but they eat a lot, and their care, we need to take care of these animals. They are the real heroes here, and that this takes a great deal out of them physically and emotionally. And I think people don't think about that. But they're extraordinary creatures. In fact, right now we have 9 horses. And yesterday, well, actually we're at 11 because we just got 2 mini horses yesterday afternoon that came from Maggie's Minis. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. Laura, the owner, these are therapy horses that before the pandemic, she would take into nursing homes or to Dayton Children's to visit patients. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic, she can't do that right now. So they're on loan to us because some of our younger students, horses are pretty big and can be intimidating. So our younger students, they'll be eye to eye with these minis. So that's going to be a great addition. They're going to be living with us for a while until she can get things up and running again. Look, I think part of the reason I wanted to do this and was very appreciative of being asked was we're always looking for businesses that are looking to collaborate. We want to be able to support local businesses and organizations. I'm a big one for things being mutually beneficial. I want to help your business. Hopefully you'd like to help my organization. I'd love to give anybody who's interested in coming to visit the farm a tour. All you need to do is call or email me. If as a group you'd be interested at some point coming out and doing a project, volunteering for a few hours, we'd love to have you come. If you're interested in donating, we just launched a new program. There's an app you can download for your phone called the Roundup app, and it rounds up all of your purchases to the nearest dollar, and that small amount of money comes to us. It takes about 2 minutes to sign up. You can download it from the App Store to your phone. And it's a way to remind people that small changes can have a really big impact, especially on an organization like the Therapeutic Riding Institute. So thank you very much for the invitation and allowing me to share my organization with you.
Thank you, Jackie. You'll take questions?
I'll be more than happy to.
Awesome. So where do the majority of the horses come from?
Well, for every 10 horses we bring in on trial, we might keep one. We get calls from people all over the place. Sometimes they're someone's personal horse, and they think they have the right personality, and our equine manager will go out with pool noodles and hula hoops and all kinds of things to sort of put a horse through its paces, because, you know, we have some students that don't move like you and I do. Some of them are nonverbal. Some of them may make odd noises or just, you never know. So we need horses that basically are bomb-proof. So it takes about 90 days once a horse does come in for them to go through training and then get involved in doing lessons. But horses come from all over. It's amazing. We get calls out of the blue all the time.
Awesome. Awesome. And how many volunteers volunteer on a daily basis there?
Well, let's see. There are usually 3 or 4 people in the barn itself first thing in the morning. And then we have a bunch of people that come on any day. Typically, most people are there during the week as opposed to the weekends, unless we have something going on, where there could be as few as 3 and as many as 10 working on, you know, they could be repairing fences in the pastures or moving gravel. I mean, one of our volunteers was moving gravel in our driveway yesterday. So you just never know.
Thank you. And then could you put your contact info in the chat so we can get a hold of you? That'd be great. Or your email or whatever you have.
You got it.
Are there any other questions for Jackie?
I definitely have one. Sorry, I had to jump in late today, and I feel ashamed for missing this because very interesting topic. Thank you for being here. My question is, I have a coworker whose daughter is a freshman at Wilmington and is studying, I think it's like a equine business and psychology double. And so my question on her behalf, without asking her to ask this question, is what should a young lady who is interested in going this route and working in this sort of industry be doing now and over the next couple of years to give herself a great shot at breaking into the industry and having a good career?
Well, if she wants to get involved in the therapeutic riding industry, you need to have her look at PATH International. That's the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship. It's pathint.org is the website. That's our credentialing organization. We're a premier accredited center, which means we're held to a higher standard in terms of our facility and the care we provide and the kind of instruction that we do. I would tell her to start there. That's a great place. There's a ton of information. She can learn about what it would take to become a certified therapeutic riding instructor. She can also reach out to our program director, except give her a couple weeks. Lessons are starting on the 15th. My program staff is a little overwhelmed at the moment, so tell her to contact her in April. You know, we're always looking for people who may be interested in coming into this industry. There's lots of opportunity. And there are centers all over this country, all over the world.
Thank you so much for the information. I appreciate
You're quite welcome. Anybody else?
I just recommend anybody going out to visit the farm that you can. Just it's amazing to go out there and just watch what's going on. I know I spent about 4 or 5 hours out there the day I was out there, and just thoroughly impressed with what the whole operation is out there.
Thank you very much, Don. That's nice of you to say. Like I said, anybody who wants to come out, you let me know.
And I may have missed this earlier. Where's the farm at?
It's in Spring Valley. It's actually, if you take Wilmington Pike into Bellbrook, it's out that way. We're on Middle Run Road, which is off Dayton Wilmington Road.
I was just out that way yesterday towards Waynesville and Spring Valley. So
There you go. We're not far from Waynesville. We're not far from Centerville.
awesome. Thank you.
Jacki, you said you're opening it up to homeschoolers.
Yeah, what it is we're trying to get more students out during the day. So there are a lot of folks that homeschool their kids, and they're always looking for things to do. So, you know, before the pandemic, we were trying to get in with some of the homeschool. That didn't happen. We actually were going to have a bunch of veterans from the VA, the Dayton VA, come to us. COVID shut that down. So, but we're always looking for other groups or organizations that, you know, are interested in what we do. I'm going to put our website up. There is a ton of information on there. So by all means, please check it out. If anybody has any other questions or you want to schedule a visit, there's my email or my phone number. Please call me.
Awesome. Thank you. Are there any other questions for Jacki? All right, Jacki, thank you again. And as a tradition of our club to dedicate a book to the Beaver Creek Library on your behalf, so I'll turn it over to Beth Cusack to do that.
Jacki, thank you so much for joining us today. So we will be donating a book to the Beaver Creek Community Library in your honor. And this is a book about Estrella, who is a Titan and is a reluctant student at a brand new school, but luckily she has her best friend who is a winged horse named Zephyr to keep her company. Now in this book, Olympian was destroyed and they had to resettle in a world called Titus. And much like we are experiencing today, Earth is declared a quarantine. So all routes to Earth has been closed and no one can travel between the two worlds, or can they? So if you're interested in finding out, check this out at the Beaver Creek Community Library.
Thank you so much. That's so nice.
Thank you, Beth. Next week, we will have Lindsay Kerr, who is the Executive Director for Lifeline Pilots, giving us a presentation on the story of Lifeline Pilots. She will be introduced by Mike Zwick. That sounds like an exciting program. Hope all of you can be here for that. As a reminder, please keep an eye on upcoming programs at beavercreekrotary.com and Facebook. Is there anything else for the good of the club? All right, Jacki, thanks again. And for everyone else, have a great weekend. We will see you soon.